Hey everybody,
Okay.
this is Rustin with Metalholic, and with us today, Emily Lazar, the ultra-talented and exceedingly beautiful voice behind September Mourning, and she's a little stuffy today, but we love her just the same.
Thank you. Hi, how are you?
So we're glad you could be here, and, because you're all stuffed up and we want you to be able to get feeling better, we'll just get right on with it. Let's just get our freak on, all right?
Yeah, definitely. These allergies are not my friend today. So,
Now,
let's do it.
The debut album, Melancholia, comes out on May 18th, so we're about a week and a half or so away. Week and a half, 2 weeks, I don't know. I can't keep track of time. I'm an old man. But I want to talk about that and the entire project. But first, I'd like to get to know you a little bit better first. So for all of us who don't know you yet, or what September Mourning is all about, let's start with you. Who is Emily Lazar?
Well, gee, that's a loaded question right there. I'm a performance artist and a singer, and I do theater. I act. I make clothing. I design costumes. I paint. I draw. I'm an artist, So. And I express myself in any sort of medium I can, basically. So my life kind of revolves around my art, and it's always been that since I was 4 years old.
So basically, you're the one that was in your high chair as a kid making finger paintings out of your applesauce and such, right?
Yeah, I would do that a lot. I would make a mess. I was the messy one. I was the messy kid.
So what sort of led you down that road to get into all this different art sort of stuff and ways of expressing yourself? Was there a moment when you were younger that you were just sort of like, I need to get out there and, spread my wings?
Do something. Well, I started in ballet, actually. I was a ballerina for quite a while, and I went to a performing arts school, and I got into theater and stuff like that. I first stepped on stage when I was 4. So it's been kind of like everything I've ever known. So I don't really know how to depart from it. And I guess it became such a part of my personality and persona that it just kind of carried itself into my everyday living, which is really kind of random and weird, but it just kind of happened. So I just think of myself as kind of like this working, moving piece of art and if you look at me and if you know me, a lot of my friends will attest to this as well. So, yeah.
Now, you spent a lot of time in New York, and now you're in L.A. Why the transition from one coast to the other?
I literally moved here to do this project. I was doing it from New York. I had my band there. We were touring a lot and getting everything going music-wise. And then I figured I had to come out here because I had my agent over here. I had, my business partner, Mark Silvestri from Top Cow, over here. I had everything over here that was, associated with this project. So I thought that, well, why am I not over there? And I was flying back and forth consistently, every other month, and it was just getting kind of ridiculous. So I kind of moved everybody out here and was like, okay, we're going to try to do this from here. And it was a little bit of a transition,
Oh, I would
to
imagine.
say the least. Yeah, it was pretty hard. I just kind of picked up and moved, and I'm kind of like that type of person that'll do stuff like that. I'm a little crazy like that, but it was hard. It's been hard. It's been hard to get everything in place out here, but we're moving along and we're dropping the album and we're putting stuff out there, and we have this MTV thing coming up, which is going to be really great for us, and we're filming that, and I can't wait to get creative on that. And film is something that I'm really super interested in, so that's going to be exciting as well. And just trying to turn it all around out here and make it happen, and it's coming along, definitely.
Nice. Well, it was a nice segue then, because now we want to talk about September Mourning. If you give us the backstory on September Mourning, how it came to be, because it's less a band with a concept album than it is a concept brought to life through music and art.
Yeah, it's kind of like a reverse, a reverse band. It's like it's more of like you said, it's a concept, it's a storyline that has a musical component to it, an artistic component to it. But it's all based around the storyline. The storyline is what holds it all together. The music is, like the icing on the cake. It's very, very important, of course, but it is just a vehicle in which to tell the story.
So tell us the story then of September Mourning, whose character you embody.
Okay, so September Mourning is her Reaper name. Her name is Emily, and she is a girl, and she was deemed, quote-unquote, worthless by a Reaper. And there are Reapers that walk the earth to take souls from the world of the living to the world of the dead, or we call it Mortem, as the Reapers call it, and then transfer them into the afterlife or wherever. And so the Reapers that walk the earth, they are given their orders from fate, and fate tells them which person is deemed, quote-unquote, worthless, that's supposed to move on, And Emily was deemed worthless, quote-unquote, and the Reaper that came to get her observed her and fell in love with her, and basically didn't want to take her, to the other side. So there's never been really anything like this that has ever happened. So in order to save her, he had to sacrifice himself. So basically, he split his soul in two, gave her his power, and he was punished by fate by becoming this inanimate object that stays in mortem and it's frozen in mortem and frozen in time. And basically, half of his soul is within her, and it's in this shape and form of this skull fly thing. That's like a butterfly. These two heads of skulls that are bound together, and it's kind of like a tattoo sort of looking thing on her neck. And basically, what happens is when she takes a soul, when she needs to take a soul, it comes alive in a certain way, and it's the mechanism in which she takes soul. So, and it's also her Jiminy Cricket or her, her conscience. Conscience. And so it speaks, it in a way it interacts with her and kind of guides her a bit in her choice. And, Emily is half human and half Reaper, so she has the innate ability to walk in the world of the living and the world of the dead. So that's pretty cool because she can see things that we can't see, but she also has still her human side to her. So she has this really strong morality and this really strong heart that wants to do the right thing and make things right. So her thing when she develops her power and she realizes that she has this power, and that she can take souls and put them into other people's bodies and things like that, and switch things around. She can correct fate, quote unquote. But what she doesn't realize is that all the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? So it's she tries to fix things and fix fate and give people second chances and do the right thing, but it always has a butterfly effect and it affects other things. And sometimes by doing the right thing, it actually affects the wrong people. And so, it's a story within a story within a story because all of these characters are intertwined and it's basically you're feeding off of her character, but her character is, feeding off the storylines of other people. So it's a really cool setup, and it has a lot of different characters and a lot of different stories running through it. And it's I was reading this really cool book on Tim Burton, actually. I just have to interject this in the middle of this because I'm reading this book on Tim Burton. I sat my butt down in Barnes & Noble. I don't know if you've done this or any of our listeners have done this, but I think most of us have, where we've had okay, so our friend is late coming to the movies with us, so we have about 20 minutes to kill. So you go to Barnes & Noble and you sit down and you read a book for about 20 minutes. I don't know if you're a nerd like I am, but I do stuff like that. So I went into Barnes & Noble and I sat down with this Tim Burton autobiography. And I'm reading through it, and it's really interesting how he comes, like, how he perceives storylines and how he develops them. And I just immediately, like, was drawn to this and the way he developed stories, and it was talking about Edward Scissorhands and the storylines that run parallel within that story, and how it's dealing with morality and things like that are a lot bigger than the actual story and this and that. And I was just drawing parallel lines with what we're doing and stuff like that. And it was really interesting. And if you ever get a chance to, like, really look at Tim Burton's work, like, he's a big influence on everything I do. And I'd love to meet him one day. But yeah, it was really kind of cool to, like, read that and just be like, oh, cool. Like, you know, it was just very interesting. Anyway, but going back to the story, so yeah, that's basically the concept behind it. And, you know, there's a lot of different characters within the story that kind of pop up and stuff like that. And we've kind of drawn parallel lines with the band, because the band members are kind of named after certain characters in the story and stuff like that. So we have, you know, that going on as well. So it's pretty cool like that.
I see. When I first heard the whole concept of it and everything, the first thing I thought of was Brian Fuller's TV series, Dead Like Me. It's almost like an more artistic and musical version of what that show was.
Yeah, I never knew about that show until when we sat down to do this creative meeting, like when I presented this project, and Mark and I sat down with the idea. He actually pulled it up on IMDb, and I watched some clips of it and stuff like that. And you're right, it's really funny that you say that, because, like, we actually pulled it up, and it has a tinge of that, like in that, just because of the whole Reaper thing and stuff like that. I think that pop culture nowadays, it's interesting what's going on with the direction of culture and how we're viewing death in general. I think, you know, with the whole, like, Walking Dead becoming very popular after, like, the whole Twilight thing becoming very popular. You know, vampires are always, like, really sexy and, like, popular, but there's been this, like, resurgence of, like, dark culture into our society and into our, you know, popular culture. And I think it's really interesting to kind of, like, you know, I've been doing this project for about 5 years now, and the music side of it for about 3. And, you know, and it's basically just, it revolves around that culture, and it's just interesting to see this culture permeate the general, you know, the consensus of, like, the whole entire, you know, world. It's just kind of coming into the mainstream now. And it's really interesting to see that resurgence of that. And I think that, that our project has, you know, the success of it and the attention that we've gotten from it has a lot to do with that, you know. And I think that's really cool, you know, to ride that wave a little bit.
Well, and it's certainly more exciting than the reality TV shows that are out there. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's really interesting because the webisode things we're doing with MTV, we've been talking about, like stuff with them and whatnot. And, you know, at first we were like, oh, should we do any reality? And I was like, no. I was like, no, this is not that type of thing. So we made it into something that was definitely more artistic, and it's going to be really cool, and it's going to speak a lot about me and about Mark. I mean, Mark is a super, super creative gentleman who's, like, at the top of his game with, you know, comic books and just creating storylines. Like, he's a storyteller, and he does it so well, and he creates amazing characters. And he creates a lot of, like, really strong female characters, too. So it's just, I feel really amazing working with him. Like, he's just such a, you know, influence on this project and been an influence on my life, just reading his comics growing up and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
Right. You know, it's funny, too, because the guy who created Dead Like Me is also one that did Pushing Daisies, which also has some of that dark culture death thing as well.
Yeah, that was a great show.
I know.
Yeah.
I wish they had taken that off the air. But now you've mentioned the MTV webisodes and stuff a couple of times now.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us exactly what you're doing with MTV.
MTV Geek is we work in tandem with them on a couple of things, and Mark and Top Cow have been working with them on a bunch of stuff too. And we're, developing this online webisode series that is going to basically be like another way to tell the storyline, a live action version. I'm going to be present in it, and it's going to tell the storyline, and it's going to mix animation with live action, and it's just going to be really cool. So we're pretty excited about it. Like, it's got a lot of really cool elements to it, and I think because of the content and the storyline, it's just kind of like the next level to what's going on. I mean, we have The Walking Dead, we have people are ready for something like this. So I think that it's going to be something really, really cool. I'm pretty stoked on it.
Well, aside from having something good to offer people, timing is everything as well. So it's a perfect time for something like that. Now, for you, how do you personally relate to the character of September Mourning?
She's a part of me. She's basically like one of my personalities, I guess. Like, she's definitely, she's definitely a character within me. I think it's interesting. I look at people, when I regard people, I tend to not deliberately pick people apart when I meet them, but I do tend to like assess their personality traits and things like that. I think we all kind of do that just naturally. But like I do kind of think about like where, like who they are, and then I think about their other side, because I think that we all kind of have this weird like second personality to us that like, and not that we're all split personality like disorder people, but like I think that just naturally like we all have this kind of like, there's always a yin to our yang.
Right.
So
we all have a dark side to go with our face side that we show everybody else. So
exactly, and sometimes it's and when I say dark, I don't mean like, okay, you're going to go out and kill people dark. I mean that it's just a darker version of you.
Right.
It's just like, maybe it's more intense. Maybe it's, more sexual. Maybe it's more, more, I don't know, morally like corrupt. Maybe, it depends on like what your personality is. But mine, I definitely, I have a lot of like, I grew up around, death a lot, and a lot of like things in my life were kind of fell apart, at a young age, and so I dealt with that, and it's been prevalent in my life, like all my life, and I've been dealing with it to this day, and it's and I think that it kind of manifests itself in this character, because this character is a reaper, and she's a death dealer, basically. That's what she does, and she's that it basically owns her work owns her soul, and I think that's very much a part of my personality as well. Like, and so yeah, I definitely believe that she's just another offshoot of my personality and an offshoot of that dark side of myself.
So it's her personality or character, and you're embodying it, I should say, is sort of cathartic for you then.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Melancholia is the name of the album. Is this like the first chapter in the story, or is this the entire story told out in the chapters of the songs? Or
Melancholia is a bit of a concept album. But it's more of of kind of like I guess we could say it's a conceptual album. It basically, the songs represent the feelings and emotions of different people that she has taken. What happens when she takes a soul is she she basically feels like everything that they've felt in her life, in their lives. Like every emotion that you've ever felt in your life, happy, sad, like, you know, hopeless, you know, whatever it is, you know, everything that you could think of, like any time that you looked into the sky and smiled, like any sort of like really like emotive state you've been in. Like she gets that all at once. It's kind of like, you know, slamming speed or something like that. It's just like a really intense rush of like, of this emotional adrenaline, basically, like this emotional drug. And she gets that when she takes a soul. And so her whole thing about like these songs, like the whole, like, I guess, concept behind them is that, you know, each song depicts a certain emotion and it has a little bit of a storyline within each song. So I was trying to kind of like replicate the feeling that she gets when she gets that rush, you know, and that's the whole thing behind those songs. So it represents these souls that she's taken, and that's the concept of that album. The next album that we do is going to have a more storyline driven conceptual album, and going to have a lot of really cool moments in it, and it's going to definitely tell more of the story, like as opposed to just like individual pieces, you know. So, but I think that it's a cool way to start the project off, having this album. And these are also songs that we wrote like when we were first a band 3 years ago. Like when we first came into the scene, like just months after we came into the scene, we started touring with Marilyn Manson, and we had these songs, and, you know, we never really released them. Like, we sat on them for a bit because we were doing these other deals and this and that and the other thing, and contracts came in the way and came and went and all this sort of stuff. And we finally just decided last year, like, let's just put it out there, you know, let's just put these songs out. Our fans want them, like, they've been waiting for them. You know, we got such positive reviews on the tour and, like, and all of the tours that we've done. So we might as well just put them out there. So that's what we did. And we just took it and mixed it with Dave Ogilvy up in Vancouver, and that was awesome, and he's awesome. Hi, Dave. And then, you know, and we put it out there. And I think it's a cool album.
It's a very cool album. Now, we don't have time to go through the entire journey through Melancholia, but are there, you know, 2 or 3 of the songs where you could sort of just give us a little insight into what's going on in those particular tracks?
Yeah, sure. There's A Place to Call Your Own is a good one. A Place to Call Your Own is basically if you've ever felt like you don't belong, or you've ever felt like you don't have a home of your own to go back to, or you don't have a world of your own, like A Place to Call Your Own is basically like that feeling. It's that like that cry out for your own like home, your own place in the world, you know. And I think a lot of people, especially in my generation, like emotions and relationships are so fleeting now that it's kind of like sometimes you just feel a little bit lost, and you just feel like you don't have like that place. And so A Place to Call Your Own kind of like shouts out to that, and it's all about, you know, September's just trying to console the person that she's, you know, taking, and she's saying that, you know, I'll be there and I'll provide that place for you, like, no matter what, you know, and I'll be the one to provide it for you. So that's the storyline behind that, basically, and that's the emotion behind that. Crimson Skies is a nice little ballad that we have kind of in the middle of the CD, and it breaks everything up, and it's all about losing somebody that you love too soon. I think we've all had that. We've all lost somebody, even if it's not to death, but if we lost them to, you know, just a relationship that's failed, or something that's been so precious to us and that we've gripped too hard and it's just went away. And I think we've all had that experience, and that song is basically about that, you know. And some of us, you know, I mean, some people live their whole lives like chasing that ghost, and that song is about somebody that has lived their life chasing that ghost and never had a chance to get them back. So there's a lot of, and these songs are like, they're kind of depressing in a way, but there are some uplifting moments, trust me. But the CD does have a little bit of a melancholy feel. Ha ha ha, Melancholia. So that's, I think, kind of where the title of the album kind of came from. It's just, there's a lot of that in the CD. So.
Nice. So what is on tap then after the album comes out? Are you guys actually going to do some tour dates, or are you just going to be focusing on the MTV video stuff to sort of be your journey out there for people, or?
We're definitely going to focus on the MTV thing. We have to get that done. But, we do want to tour a little bit. We're looking at a couple of tours right now. We do want to support the record. It's coming out in Germany. It's on import here with Best Buy. You can go to bestbuy.com and pick it up. But it is an import, so it's a little bit more pricey. Just so everybody knows, that's the reason why. But we do want to go over to Europe. We have a lot of European fans, and we want to go over there and, experience Europe and experience, performing for our fans and develop a fan base over there. I love Europe. I lived there for a minute, like when I was in my teens, and it was like, it's awesome, and it would be cool to go back there and play some shows and stuff like that. So we're looking into doing that as well. And we have like the MTV thing coming out. We do have other material we're working on. I've been working on a different direction with the band a little bit musically. We're going more into like a hard rock sort of arena. We've been there kind of like with this CD where we were there, but this is even more like more melodic, more just more in the hard rock. We're burying a lot of the screaming and stuff like that. It'll still be there on occasional tracks, but it's not going to be a main focus or anything like that. So we're definitely working on a lot of new material because we have to have another CD coming out soon anyway. So yeah, that's what's coming up.
Nice. Emily Lazar of September Mourning, the debut album Melancholia, coming out on May 18th here in the States. You can pick it up at Best Buy, like you said, .com. Are there digital outlets as well, or is it only going to be...
You can go to Popelmart. It's like a German website, but it has all of our, downloads for the album and stuff like that. You can get off of there. iTunes in Germany is carrying it and stuff like that. I don't think iTunes here will be carrying it because it is a release in Europe. But yeah, you can definitely get it on Best Buy. It would be great to pick it up on like actual physical CD. I know that's like so 2002, but like, the one great thing about this CD that I was pretty proud of is the artwork, because the artwork was done by Mr. Sam, and he's this dude that's done like so much work for like Rob Zombie and Godhead and like all these great bands, and his artwork is absolutely incredible, and he really did such a great job with the CD that when you do get it in your hands, you'll be like, damn, this is cool. It basically is a conceptual sort of piece about the city of Mortem, which is like where these reapers reside. So it's very like, kind of like, it's got a whole like Lord of the Rings sort of like weird like fantasy element to it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So if you can pick it up, I would definitely suggest it. Oh, thank you. Like the insides are really cool too. He just did a really great job with it. I'm pretty stoked on it.
Nice. And that site, for those of you who didn't catch it, is popanaut.de. That's POPONAUT.de. So you can definitely check it out there as well. And, of course, you're going to be hearing it on Metalholic Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much for taking the time and everything. And now when are you thinking that because you're already talking about the second album, when do you think that's going to see the light of day?
Well, we're probably gonna be doing some singles and then maybe compiling them into an album or something like that. In tandem with like all the MTV work that we're doing and stuff like that. So it's all coming. It's it's a lot of writing. It's a writing process, and it's a lot of writing. So I'm doing that. I'm doing that all the time. I'm writing a lot of lyrics and melodies, and yeah, it's basically that every day, all day. So,
beautiful.
But it's great. I love it.
Emily, go take care of your allergies there. Get some rest and just keep.
Oh my gosh! Thank you.
And we will talk with you soon, I'm sure.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You got it. Take care.